Hi everybody, welcome to this week's edition of Property Chat, the second one of 2018, and this week I want to talk to you about auctions. Stand by. Hi guys, welcome back to Property Chat. My name's Ken Hume for James Alexander, and this week it's all about auctions. So let me explain the basic differences between selling on the open market via us as an estate agent and then selling via our auction services. The main benefit is one of timing, so that if you're in a real hurry and you need to get the money in the bank very swiftly, then auctions are ideal for that. In terms of lead times, we can be talking typically, we put it in a month before the actual auction. That is, we take instructions 1 month before. On the day of the auction, when the hammer goes down, a sale is done, contracts are exchanged there and then. 28 days later, the money's in the bank. Sounds lovely, doesn't it? You might expect there are some cons as well as pros, and that's what I'm here to explain to you. Let's start with the pros. Very swift sale. Just looking at the average sale time now throughout the last year with Rightmove, and it goes up to as much as 79 days across the UK, down to as low as 57 days. But either way you look at it, 2 months is quite typical these days for people to find a buyer. Now, once you've found a buyer, the actual conveyancing process is still quite sluggish and can take another 8 to 12 weeks on average. So you can see then that we're talking about a much longer time on the open market. The benefit of the open market is we're talking about normal buyers on residential mortgages, and therefore the access and number of people that can do that are much wider, and therefore the price achieved can be higher. So typically on auction, what will we be talking about in terms of price? We'll be talking about a reserve price which looks very competitive in the market, and then we'd be talking about guides and reserves. Let's talk about guides and reserves separately. The guide price that you see in a catalogue is not the reserve price. It's a guide that is generally and typically 5 to 10% under the reserve price. So let's put some round figures on this. Imagine that a property's on the market with a guide price of 380,000. then it's likely that the minimum price that will sell for is 400 plus. Otherwise it will be withdrawn from the auction. So guides and reserves, very important to know the difference. The reserve price is not one that you'll know. You'll only know when you're in the auction room and the auctioneer says, I have to withdraw this lot because it hasn't reached reserve. That happens sometimes. In order to put properties in the auction, we need them to be keen as opposed to the open market value, because we're talking about cash buyers, people that can exchange contracts immediately, generally people without a mortgage. And so from that point of view, the price has to be competitive from a business point of view. This is considerably less than the open market value. We can be talking about typically 20% less than the open market value, but it can vary depending on type and style, area and popularity. So in terms of the pros of auction, rapid. It's just so quick in comparison to open market sale. So you're probably thinking, well, how does it work in terms of the paperwork then? Because obviously on an open market sale, the paperwork takes some time to go through, the extra 8 to 12 weeks after one has agreed the sale. Well, with auctions, what happens is that we prepare what we call a pre-sale pack, which is downloadable prior to the auction, so that people can get access to the answers to inquiries, etc., before the auction takes place. Obviously, in a typical sale, it will be the other way round. Those questions will be raised once the sale is agreed. So having that pack in front is a major advantage. Now I'd like to talk about the difference from a buyer's perspective. When buying at auction, one runs a greater risk because you don't know why the property might be in the auction, so therefore you need to do your homework and make sure you know what you're buying. Typically, estate agents will have a viewing day once a week at least, where you can come along and look at the property. You can bring a surveyor at that point if you are subject of a mortgage. The problem with that strategy is that, of course, there's a chance someone will overbid you, and if that happens, you've lost your survey fee. There's nothing you can do about it. So in summary, auctions are not for everybody, but if you're looking for a really quick sale, then you may have seen us featured on Homes Under the Hammer many times over the course of the last year. We've got several other episodes coming up this year. So, you know, if the BBC can trust us, so can you. Come to us and we'll look after you, whether you go open market sale or auction. Or in fact, if you'd like to talk about both, we're one of the only ones locally that can do that for you. So do give us a call when you're ready and we can take that further for you. We hope you've enjoyed this week's update. Thank you for all your subscriptions. It's been amazing how many of you have locked onto our channel. Long may it continue, and we'll speak to you next time. Thanks for watching.